narwhals. That was the other one I did.
Those shape tactics, kind of like name tags meanders. Each different beluga has been trained to touch their head to their own unique shape, and by doing so, that's how they know what trainer they'll be working with this session. Let's take a look at how the training process begins. Please focus your attention toward the island on the left, where Andrew is working with Nunavik. Before any training can take place, a strong relationship must first be established between the trainers and the animals. Let's see some of the ways this is done. Andrew's gently rubbing, tickling, and massaging Nunavik all along his back.
Yeah, there's a button on the screen.
Andrew will scratch Nunavik's tongue and give Nunavik some food. All of these things are things that Nunavik really enjoys. Andrew's making this a fun, positive experience that Nunavik looks forward to. Now that
it was on automatic, so.
Right. Yeah, I know.
This is when he teaches him a very important sound. The sound of that whistle. To the animal, that whistle sound means good job. But how does he know that? Well, let's watch and listen. Andrew blows the whistle, followed by a playful applause. Blows the whistle, followed by food. Blows the whistle, and some playful splashing. By always following that whistle sound with something Nunavik enjoys, it's not long before Nunavik knows that that whistle means good job. That it means thank you. The next game we teach animals is a game called targeting. The object of the game is for Nunavik to touch his head to a target we provide. The first target we teach animals is our hands.
Fish and chips,
Andrew will touch Nunavik's head, blow the whistle, followed by a head rub. Touch Nunavik's head, blow the whistle, followed by food. Touch Nunavik's head, blow the whistle, and dribble water on his head. By now, Nunavik really enjoys having his head touched. This is where we can start to change up the rules of the game just a little bit. What do you guys think would happen if rather than bringing that target to Nunavik, if Andrew were to move that target up and out of the water? Well, let's find out. Nunavik comes up to find it. From here, we can move this target up, down, over to either side to all different locations. We're not limited to using our hands alone. We can introduce different objects like this red buoy on the end of a stick, acting as an extension of that target. Keep your eyes on that targeting pole to see how it can be used throughout today's show. We can extend the rules of this game so far that Andrew doesn't even need to be the one providing the target. He can give a signal to Nunavik if Nunavik understands its meaning. Go find that target. Take a look at Gretchen on the island in the back using one of these targeting poles. Nunavik comes over and...
See the one upside down there?
Touches that target in a new location. Of course, Gretchen,
got a point.
for playing this game. With that whistle and some food, we're giving the signal to again find the target.
You got a point where you're looking.
The water, make sure Nunavik can hear where that target is. And
you're going to record the whole thing, aren't you?
Okay. I never have enough. I've never run out of space. I always go home with empty cameras.
Well, it was on like half hour or something like that.
No, that'll do like 2 hours.
I know, but this is on like 5 hours. I'm hungry, dude. Seriously.
I'm not very nice to meet you, Mr. Drew. I saw you yesterday, I think.
I'm hungry.
It's your son, I'm always, right?
Always hungry. It's my son, always hungry. I'm partially hungry.
I've got donuts in here.
Thanks. So probably smashing that. Did you check them?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, I think they're okay.
I wish we could pet the whales. That'd be awesome if we could pet the whales, wouldn't it?
I bought a 32 gig card for this, and when I went on the whole trip to Atlanta, Savannah, and everywhere, I only used to put about 20 pictures. I used about 3 minutes.
You take less pictures.
Yeah, I don't take that much.
He'll take a picture every single last, like a rock.
That's
if you let him.
Stays up out of water. Starts to fall backwards, Andrew blows that whistle. Even though he was just kind of falling backwards, that's another part of this training. We'll eventually, once Nunavik has mastered being out of the water, we'll ask him to start swimming backwards. But it's a step-by-step process. So, Andrew uses his hand, moves his hand, replaces with that targeting pole, and starts moving it a little bit behind Nunavik's head. Nunavik, Nick's got contact with that target, but he had to swim backwards just a little bit. So you can see that progress. What we're going to show you next is the final behavior. Take a look toward the island on the right. A more finished behavior from Kyle. So you're really able to see the difference in the spectrum. Let's get you're really able to see the very beginning stages of that training to where we're ultimately working towards. And it's a step-by-step process working at the animal's comfort level. We are going to be moving on to a different species. However, before we say goodbye, I believe that some of the belugas have their own way of saying goodbye. So let's have a round of applause for the beluga beluga. One of the goals at the aquarium is to introduce you guys to multiple animals. But before we bring out the next species for you to meet, we're going to be asking the belugas to leave this pool in the center. The way we do that is through that targeting game. So now we're playing that game in reverse. We're going to be asking the belugas to find targets, but those targets are going to be in another location. Once this move is complete, you guys are going to get a chance to meet some of the Magellanic penguins. The penguins are going to be joining us on this very walkway. So we ask you guys for your help with this bit of training. We ask that everybody try to remain seated and you double check to make sure the flashes on your cameras are turned off. Removing known distractions from the amphitheater is another vital aspect of training. We set the animals up for success. Also, while the penguins are out here, I challenge you guys to see the similarities between how our trainers work with the penguins to how our trainers were working with the belugas. I can see that the penguins are just about set. So I'm going to take a step back to let you enjoy this penguin training in action. Ladies and gentlemen,
I don't like penguins.
I don't like it.
They're birds. Birds suck.
Penguins are coming up.
Penguins attack people.
Hip hip hooray.
I bet you they'll eat you. Are you recording them? The penguins are over there, fool.
Where?
I bet you they'll eat you. You see it?
I got it.
No,
I got it.
You don't even see the penguins, do you? Stand up.
And let's hear it for the penguins. You guys see some of those similarities that I was talking about? All we were doing was asking the penguins to walk from one part of this walkway to a target at the far right side. And when the penguins finally made their way to that target, we had trainers there waiting to thank them for the few juicy pieces of fish, which serve as a great source of positive reinforcement. We do have another species that we'd like to bring out, but before we do that, we would like to take this opportunity to introduce you guys to a new addition to the Shed family.
With a really touching rescue story. An infant sea otter was found stranded in California last month. She was saying it was quickly taken to Chicago's Shed Aquarium, and that's where NBC's Kevin Timmons picks things up.
Welcome to a nursery unlike any other, where it's time for this baby to have a bottle. It's me, Uncle Kevin.
We're going to YouTube all of this.
Is a 10-week-old, 13-pound baby southern sea otter. The orphan pup was found on the California beach last month.
I got enough ready to count.
Days which lost her mom were probably very scary times.
The southern or California sea otter is a threatened species, with fewer than 3,000 animals found in the wild. Unlucky Fort Mayukos, she was rescued and brought to Chicago's Shedd Aquarium, one of the top marine mammal facilities in the world. And she seems to be adjusting just fine.
She is a baby. They like to play, they like to explore, they like to get into mischief.
But baby otters, like baby humans, also need round-the-clock care. So the shed has a dozen surrogate moms to feed her and begin to teach her how to be an otter. The shed first started caring for otters in 1989 in the wake of the Exxon Valdez disaster. That's when Kina was rescued. She's now a matriarch.
She's 23 now. She's kind of nice, retired life right now.
But before Mayukos can hang with grown-ups, she's got a lot to learn. Like eating solid food while floating on her back. Watch out, those teeth are sharp. She also has to learn how to groom, and otters' thick coat has to be maintained for their very survival. And like most kids, when she doesn't get her way, she lets you know. Mayukos is the 9-buck waist here, and while she'll never be returned to the wild, she will teach scientists more about her species. And soon be delighting visitors, because like most babies, she's irresistibly cute. Kevin Simmons, NBC, Chicago.
Once they're in position, they'll blow their whistles, which will let the dolphins know it's time to get started. And once those shapes are in the water, you'll see the dolphins swimming around, checking out each individual shape until they find the one that belongs to them. As they're playing this game, you can kind of realize that this shape-finding game is really just a variation of the targeting game. Except the animals know the targeting game so well that they can differentiate between the different targets that are placed in the water. Earlier in the show, you saw one method of training. You saw us teach the animals that targeting game. Another method of training involves doing what you are all doing right now, just observing these animals at play. Because on their own, these animals are capable of all sorts of really fun behaviors. So just by watching the animals, you might see something like this on the left. Control, so right side up, upside down, right side up, right back.
Whoa!
A couple of short, playful jumps up out of the water, or look from the center of the exhibit.
What did he do?
Jumped up.
He jumped up and then went backwards and awesome!
By making a big splash or swimming upside down to get a new perspective on their surroundings. These are all things that the dolphins know how to do on their own. But do you guys remember what that whistle sound means? It means good job. It means thank you. It's just by watching these animals at play and blowing the whistle when we see these fun behaviors, that's our way of telling the dolphins are doing a great job and we love what we see. Because the relationship that exists between the trainers and the animals, the more that the dolphins know they're doing things we enjoy seeing, the more and more they start to repeat those behaviors. From there, it's all just a matter of attaching a hand signal to go along with those behaviors, so we have to see them at a certain time.
This battery was full.
What you're going to see next is how those whistles and
Battery still showed full the minute I start using this. It goes empty. It's either got full and empty. There's no middle.
is going to give a signal asking Contrell to leave the eye up out of the water.
I have 2 batteries, so.
I'm getting tired of standing up now.
Sit down.
And then listen for the timing of Tracy's whistle. There's the signal. If you look towards the center.
Woohoo!
Could you guys hear the whistle? The whistle came at the highest point of Contrell's jump. is exactly how it's going to be possible to completely soak just these first 3 rows of the audience right here. And it's probably going to ruin your cameras and your cell phones, so I do apologize if you guys have those things with you today. But that is okay, because I am totally kidding. It's right, we're not actually going to do that. That's just something in theory that could be done with those whistles and signals. We are going to change up the timing of a whistle just a little bit. So once again, I want you guys to watch Tracy for that signal she gives. Listen for that whistle. There's the signal. If you look toward the center, no whistle. Still no whistle. And there is that whistle.
I took a video of that.
Awesome. I tried to.
You taking pictures or recording?
I'm taking.
You got a lot of the back of that guy's head. Why don't you stand up and record?
You've seen how we train the animals. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about why we train the animals. The ultimate goal being to provide all the animals here with the absolute best possible home. And a great way of ensuring that is by turning a wide variety of different regular medical checkups, regular medical exams into fun games for the animals. Let's see some of these games being played. If you guys take a look towards the island on the left, you'll see that Tracy is cradling the Cottrell's tail in her lap. This is the blood-taking position for the dolphins. You'll see our guest Braden helping us out with this game. And he's just rubbing, tickling, and massaging Cottrell's tail. All things that Cottrell really enjoys.
You ever seen The Dark Side of Dolphins?
Up to 10 times.
Yeah, you need to watch that. You're never going to get in the water with dolphins ever again.
But by playing this game so regularly, when that one time a month does roll around, it's a fun experience for the dolphins, and it's a great opportunity to get a tail massage. If you look towards the back, Gretchen has asked TK to lay out in front of her. Fun game for TK because she'll get a few scratches and a few tickles all along her side, and it's helpful for the trainers because having the dolphin laying out on their side like that is the ultrasound position, just in case we need to monitor a pregnancy or just get a better look inside the animal. Back on the left, something that Braden does not know is that he is now the world's youngest veterinarian. He's not a practicing veterinarian, he's just taking on that role. The dolphins see our trainers every single day. They know what our trainers look like. However, there are times where we might need to bring in a veterinarian or anybody that the dolphins have never met or have never seen before. So while we have the new face out here, we're making this another fun experience for Cottrell. That by having Braden out here, we can just play all sorts of really fun games. So that way, anytime the dolphins do see a new face out there, as long as they are out there with one of the trainers, somebody who they trust quite a bit, they know it's just another fun experience. And you'll be able to see another fun game being played on that island on the left.
See that the kid went like this and the dolphin swirled around?
You've seen how we train the animals, and you've seen why we train the animals. Now it's time to start pulling all of that training together to highlight the incredible natural behaviors that these animals are capable of. For this next part, I don't have to say a thing, so let me take one more step back and turn things over to the Pacific white-sided dolphins.
Pacific white-sided dolphins.
over?
Yeah, it's over.